different than every other month. Every other month of the year, we're going through some Bible book, usually about a chapter a week, and then we do this unusual thing in August. And we take a break from our first hour. We kind of have a sabbatical from that, and we have movies at people's houses, and we encourage you to see the movie, and we talk about the movies. Why? Well, it's not because we can't find anything better to do. What we're learning, hopefully, in these months, or these weeks of Cinematheology, is some sense of discretion. And discretion is what happens when you get bombarded by all kinds of things from the world, from our culture, and you have to sort through things, because it's not all bad, and it's not all good. And so we have this testing of the spirits, this sort of like, what is being said, and how is this affecting me and my family? You know, my kids or my grandkids. How are these values that are coming at me through advertising, through television, through Netflix, through movies, through music, all these forces which are persuasive at some level, they're trying to carry a message. So how do we think through those? And so we're learning, I think, that biblical idea of discretion, which asks some questions, evaluating what does this say about God, and then is that true or not? Is the way God is being portrayed, is that how God is? We ask that question, and then we think about human nature. Is that how human nature is, or is it being portrayed too pessimistically or too optimistically? Does it have a sense of like humans' need for salvation, or is it just try harder and do better? So that's what we talk about in, what does it say about human nature and what we really need? And then that third question, what is it saying about how we should live? Does the movie, the ad, the book, whatever, does it say, here's how you should live? And is that true? Is that how we should live, or are we just kind of being carried along? So we learn discretion, and that's why we don't pick the 3 best movies, or 5 best movies, or the 5 most Christian movies. We're not looking at that. That would be a different list if we went for that. This is, what is being thrown about there out in the culture? And you might say to yourself, yeah, but isn't one of those a Christian movie? Well, the third movie, David, is an animated feature based on the life of King David. So, kind of yes. But what's interesting about that movie, we'll get into more of this on week 3, is it actually grossed more at the box office than Moses, Prince of Egypt. So, here you have a Christian studio having major success out in the regular box office. So we're going to talk about that. What does that mean? What are they up to? Is that going to be a good strategy? So we'll talk about that in week 3. This week, we're talking about this movie, The Sheep Detectives. And so I don't know how many of you saw it, but we encourage you every week to watch the movie that is up on the docket. I don't know what's going on here. Check 2, 3. See, we check it over and over again, and it's fine until now. Yeah, it doesn't like. Let's try this box. Okay, so we go into the movies with these questions, and we show a few of the clips. The first question is, what does this say about God? Well, this is a fantasy movie where the animals talk. So, at one level, it's like, well, does it say anything very seriously? Well, because of that, I mean, animals talk in Narnia too, and that has some really good points. So animals can make some really good points. So let's look at this first clip, because it directly addresses the question of what is the movie saying about who God is. So take a look.
What is this?
This is the church where someone named God lives.
Who's God?
It's a bit confusing. God is a shepherd.
So he could be our shepherd?
No, because he's also a lamb.
What?
And he's also invisible. And he's made of bread. And he dams things.
Dams things? Like a beaver?
Yes.
So God is a big invisible lamb beaver made of bread?
Yes. And they eat him on Sundays.
Oh, God. I know I was supposed to be bad.
Poor God. Well, it's tongue-in-cheek. And so the movie is telling us this is what people, when they hear about, things in the church, it's as strange to them as it is to these animals, and so sometimes we need to realize that if you're not from the church world, a lot of what we talk about is completely, off the charts in terms of what people are thinking about. So I don't think that means we need to try to make everything understandable. I think there's faith and mystery involved. So if someone is going to seek God, they're going to have to go through things like, para-rational is what I call it. Not irrational, but beyond reason. There's no way you can make the Christian faith completely airtight reasonable. There's evidence for it, but God leaves enough open-ended so that faith will always be required of us. Always. And you might find yourself at times questioning your beliefs and saying, how do I know this I've staked my life on this thing, and how do I know again that it's true and reliable? Completely normal question to have through life. Doesn't mean anything's wrong. It means you're just a thinking, feeling person. But I'll tell you something that has helped me a lot when I think about the rationality, the believability of faith. Which starts with the idea of is there a supernatural world? Is there a God? Or is everything just natural? That's the first question you have to settle. And so we don't have airtight proof on that either way. By design, that's how God likes it. So we have to want something. We have to believe towards something. But I'll tell you something that's been helpful to me through this process. And if it helps you, great. If it doesn't, just throw it away like a disposable razor. Don't worry about it. So, but sometimes I think to myself, okay, one thing we're certain of is that either God exists or he doesn't exist. I mean, it's got to be one or the other. It can't be both. He can't exist and non-exist at the same time, so he either does or doesn't exist. Let's think for a minute that he doesn't. Okay? So no amount of faith or belief or hope can make God exist if he doesn't exist. That question of whether we believe is completely independent of the question of whether he is. And if he is, that's much more important. That's the big question. So when you approach this, you think, well, I can't make him exist just by believing in him. He has to exist all by himself, right? All by himself, without me. And that also means if you have a period of doubt or skepticism when you go, oh, what if you thought, I don't know if I believe. Now, does God at that point go, oh my goodness, Emily doesn't believe. I guess I have to not exist then because somebody doesn't believe. No, the question of who God is and his existence is completely independent of what you think about it, whether you're a believer or an unbeliever. You can't make him exist because you hope he does, and you can't call him out of existence because you hope he doesn't. He is or he is not. I happen to think he is. I happen to lean that way. And so I tell myself, yeah, that's right. So even if I waver at times in my doubts, that doesn't change anything about God. He is who he is. He has loved me fully, whether I feel like it or not. He has forgiven me fully, whether I feel forgiven or not. I mean, which is more important, that you feel forgiven or that you actually are forgiven? The latter, right? That's the important thing. And so God is like, well, you're not believing today? Fine, I get it. It's hard to be you. That's fine. It's difficult, but I'm going to go on being me even as you be you. That's your drama, but I am here. That helps me in a way. If it doesn't help you, fine. Don't worry about it. But at times it can be reassuring for me to think, you know what? God goes on with or without me. We need to hold on to truths that are so big, they go on with or without us. I mean, it's better if we're with it. But if we're not, it doesn't change anything. God's ways go on, right? So the world may look at what we believe and go, well, that's kind of far-fetched. It's beyond reason, I admit. But you know what? I have this fear, I think, of someone somewhere saying, you really fell for the whole God-Jesus thing? And I'll say, I did. I did. I fell for it. And I fall for it again today. And I've seen all the options, and I've seen what faith is, and I've seen the evidence, and I'm falling for it again. I'm all in. I'm all in. And as George MacDonald said in one of his books, I throw my weight behind the Nazarene. And with all that we have in our loyalty, we say, I throw my weight here. And that's faith. That's just simple faith. Okay? So what does it say about God? Well, that he can be confusing and abstract, but that's not the whole story. That's just how it looks on the surface. So the second question, what does this say about human nature? Well, I think human nature in the movie is pretty pessimistic. In the movie, there's a bad shepherd who's trying to kill the sheep. The butcher and the other shepherd are working together on that. So there's like an exploitative nature. So people are out to exploit each other. There's also a rejection thing based on discrimination. So the little lamb is thrown out because he wasn't born at the same time. This is a view of human nature that's pretty pessimistic. It talks about, humans are not generally beneficial toward each other. Now, the one exception, of course, is the Good Shepherd, the George figure in the movie, and he is in contrast to the other shepherds and the other people. Everyone there is self-interested. They want something from the sheep, except the shepherd. Now, this reminds me of John 10. If you have your Bibles, I'd like you to overlap here with John 10 and this movie, because there's quite a few connections. So John 10 is Jesus talking about being the good shepherd. And you're going to see some parallels here. George is the shepherd in the movie who loves his sheep, who calls them by name. They follow him by his voice. And all of this is described by Jesus in John 10. The good shepherd calls his sheep by name. He knows them by name and calls them by voice. And they follow him. This is a very accurate depiction of what a sheep and a shepherd do. So, and then in the first verse, I say to you, the one who does not enter by the door into the fold of the sheep, but climbs up another way, he is a thief and a robber. And that's repeated again down in verse 8. All those who came before me are thieves and robbers. And then it talks about the stranger or the hireling. Verse 12, he was a hired hand and not the shepherd, who is not the owner of the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and flees. And the wolf snatches them and scatters the flock. He flees because he is a hired hand and does not care about the sheep. So Jesus is saying there are imposters out there who are trying to take advantage of you, sheep. And they sound good, but they're trying to steal and destroy you. And they're not going to stick around when it gets hard because they don't really care about you. Your leaders will exploit you. Your leaders will take what they can and leave you when it gets dangerous. But not me, he says. I am the good shepherd. I'm the shepherd who cares about the sheep. I won't leave. I'll lay down my life. He says that. Look at verse 11. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. Look at verse 15. Just the Father knows me and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. Verse 17. For this reason the Father loves me, because I lay down my life so that I may take it back. No one has taken it away from me, but I lay it down on my own. I have authority to lay it down and authority to take it back. What is Jesus' big idea? He's saying the other people are imposters. They don't really care. The true shepherd will lay down his life for the sheep, and that's me. I will lay down and give my life for the sheep. As a real shepherd would have done at that time. Would have taken on the wolf, would have taken on the lion, would have taken on the bear. Even though they're only sheep, he cares about them and he takes that on. And Jesus says, I'm the real deal. I'm not the fake, I'm not the imposter. Softly and tenderly, Jesus is calling for you and for me. Come home. I'm the good shepherd. I'm the good shepherd. I'm not going to take advantage of you. I'm not going to exploit you. I'm not going to scavenge your meat. I am the real deal. Now we see this in the next clip where one of the sheep is rescued from the carnival, and it makes a big impression on this sheep. So watch this clip.
What's a carnival?
It's nothing. Go back to your flock.
Our flock.
It's music. A carnival is music. Rides. Every day, children would come and pet me and feed me. I loved that until I grew too big. And then, when night fell, the men from the carnival would come and lead me into a circle. And in that circle was a dog. And they would make me fight. Fight until I bled. Then one night, he found me. He paid them and took me away. And that's what a carnival is.
But how did you even end up in such a terrible place? Why weren't you with your flock?
I thought Lily, the great sheep detective, would have figured that out by now.
So you were a winter.
Sooner or later, a winter lamb wants to leave.
I lay down my life for the sheep. This kind of rescue, where you are found, as Sebastian was, helpless, beaten up, exhausted, and someone comes and pays your ransom and puts you on his shoulders and takes you home. This is Jesus going out to the lost sheep. He leaves the 99 and goes out and seeks until he finds. When he finds him, he carries him home on his shoulders. This is the Jesus who seeks and finds. I am the good shepherd. I will lay down my life for the sheep. We have a Savior who did and would and will lay down his life like you would lay down your life for your child. I know you would. If there is a danger, I know you would step in and you would stand between that child and the danger, and you would lay down your life if necessary. Jesus did that for us. I will lay down my life. Nobody takes it from me, he says. I lay it down by my choice. I have authority to lay it down and take it back. This I received from my Father. So the interesting thing about Sebastian is being rescued, he becomes a rescuer. I'm not going to show you that particular scene, but later on when two of the sheep are in trouble, Sebastian comes and lays down his life and saves two of the sheep. A rescued person becomes a rescuer. And so that's the pattern when we realize the sacrifice that was made on our behalf, then we feel that same sense of compassion and we want to rescue. A rescued person wants to rescue. And if we don't have a desire to rescue, maybe we've forgotten how we were rescued. Maybe that's grown dull or tired or overworked to where we have a hard time connecting with that. But I believe that if we've been rescued, truly, and we remember that, then we will say, then I owe it, and then I owe it to lay down my life. That's what is necessary. So I think in that sense, the movie does capture something really important about human nature. It needs to be rescued, and then rescued people become rescuers. So the third question, what does it say about how to live? One of the dominant questions in this movie is remembering versus forgetting. And the sheep are used to forgetting anything that's painful or difficult. They have a thing they all do together, where on the count of 3, they all forget the painful thing, like it never happened. Which is an exaggeration, but there is kind of a way to do that in our lives, where we cut off, seal off something, and we think, I don't want to feel that ever again. Never again will I feel that. And so we close that door down, and we never even allow Jesus into that door because it's too painful to open. And so part of what the movie is it good to forget, or is it good to remember? To remember the difficulty, to remember the pain or the loss. Why would you want to remember something like that? And the answer I think that the movie gives is because it's true, it needs to be remembered. But the truth is more than pain. It's also blessing and rescue. It's a mixed package, and the truth is in both of those things. So in this next clip, we're going to see the dilemma that the sheep has when she has to try to remember who the shepherd was, even though everything in her doesn't want to feel that. So take a look.
Oh, wake up!
Wake up!
Wake up!
Follow me! Don't stop! We need to leave! Now!
Leave? What are you talking about?
Sebastian is dead.
You said return to clouds.
I was wrong. We died. I saw Sebastian die. And if we don't leave tonight, we're all gonna die too. Cal turns sheep into food.
Stop it! Stop saying these awful things. I'm forgetting this happened. Right now.
No, you can't.
Why? Why would I want to remember something so terrible?
Because it's true.
It's not true if I don't remember. 1.
Wait.
2.
Ronnie, Reggie, please. Be brave.
3. Well, hello, Lily. I have a question. What are we doing out here?
I don't like it. Back to the meadow.
Back to the meadow. No. Don't. Please don't. Sebastian was right about us. We're just stupid, frightened sheep. Tonight isn't the first time I saw a sheep die, is it?
No,
How many times have I forgotten?
more than I can count.
You've carried this all alone, all this time.
Yes, I remember every bad thing, but I remember good things too. I remember my mother's face. I remember old friends and how they loved me. And you will remember Sebastian.
It hurts. Remembering hurts.
I know. But if you forget, you can't save the others, and Sebastian will have died for nothing. Caleb will come for you tomorrow, and you'll follow your new shepherd, just like the other stupid, frightened sheep. And we'll all die. I'm sorry, Lily, I am. But it's our memory that keeps the ones we love alive.
I'm sorry, Sebastian. I'm not as strong as
It's our memory that keeps the ones we loved alive. Partly true. I mean, obviously we can't physically resurrect them through memory. But if you think about forgetting and remembering, we're told to do both in the New Testament. Remember that passage in Philippians, forgetting those things which are behind and pressing forward to what is ahead. So what are we supposed to forget? Not painful things. We're supposed to forget our mistakes and our regrets. You know, should have done it this way. I should have done that. I should have taken this job. Should have married that person. I should have had more kids, less kids. Should have divorced. Should have stayed married. Whatever the regret is in your head that you keep saying, I wish I could do it over again. And the apostle says, you know what? Those regrets, that's part of your story. That's what brought you to this point. That's part of you. You can't regret you. And so, as the Avett brothers say in one of their songs, all my mistakes brought me to you. And so we do forget things. We forgive ourselves because of God's forgiveness, and we say, you know what? It's okay. It's covered. I always have a tendency, and some of you do too, I'm sure, if you learn something new, you scold yourself and say, how did it take me this long? I should have known this more. Well, why shouldn't it take you that long? It's taken me that long. So that's how long it took. Am I smarter than everybody else? No. So it takes me time to really learn things. I'm a learner. No shame involved. So it's like we forget certain things and let them go. But what we don't forget is our shepherd. What did Jesus say on the night that he was betrayed? This bread is my body, broken for you. Eat it in remembrance of me. This is the cup of the new covenant, shed for many. Drink it in memory, in remembrance of me. Jesus wanted us to remember him. Wanted us to remember his story. And we can't remember like the apostles who lived 3 years with him. They had so many more memories than we have. But look what all they wrote down for us. Stories. Jesus, the woman taken in adultery. Jesus in the wilderness being tempted. Jesus with the Samaritan woman at the well. Jesus with the man born blind who gives him his sight back. Jesus who calls to Zacchaeus in the tree and says, Zacchaeus, come on down. I'm coming over to your place today. Get ready, I'm coming. Jesus who looked at Peter after he had denied him the third time and looked him in the eyes like, it's okay. It's okay. Jesus who walked on the water. Jesus who fed 5,000. Jesus who walked out of a tomb, and Jesus who walked up the hill of Calvary, not because he had to, because he wanted to. And he knew he was the only one. We remember him. We remember his words. We remember what he said. We remember our shepherd. As often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, you proclaim the Lord's death until he comes again. We remember. We remember the lashes on his back, the crown on his head. We remember being betrayed by those he loved, and we remember him being nailed naked to a tree. We remember. We remember him hanging out with the poor and the prostitutes and the tax collectors, the winter sheep of the day. He went to them. We remember him sitting with his disciples, welcoming the children up onto his lap and blessing them. We remember often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, you proclaim his death, you remember it, you make it visible until he comes. I am the good shepherd, he said. Everybody else who came before me is a thief and a robber. But I am come that you might have life and might have it fully. The thief only comes to rob and destroy, but I lay down my life. This is why the Father loves me, because I lay down my life for the sheep. No one takes it from me. It's my choice. As we go into communion today, I want you to think of one of those stories of Jesus. One of the ones I said, or another one that comes to mind. Remember him. What was he like? What did he do? What did he say? What was the look on his face? I think of him on Easter morning, walking along with those two disciples, kind of unknown disciples, Cleopas and probably his wife. And they're walking along down the road and they don't know it's Jesus. They're talking to him and said, "Are you the only one that hasn't heard what happened in Jerusalem this week?" And Jesus says, "What things? Tell me about it." That Jesus. The Jesus who explained to them as they walked along how the Messiah had to suffer. That it had to happen. But that it's done now. And then the Jesus who went into the inn at the road and broke bread with them. And when he broke the bread, they saw who he was. And then just when they saw, he disappeared. That Jesus. Remember him. And as you stand in line and come up for the bread and the cup, remember something about him. I can't rationally explain what happens with bread and cup. You know, an outsider would say, what's the big deal? It's just some bread and juice. It doesn't really do anything. Not rationally. But it's what Jesus said, where he would meet us and where we would remember him. So as you come, think of him, the Good Shepherd, and come when you're ready. And when we all get back to our seats, we'll take the bread and the cup.